Welcome to Marketing Demystified, the podcast that connects the dots for business leaders to drive revenue through effective marketing strategy. We chat with marketing experts on different topics that will help you ramp up your revenue. We stream live on LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, and you can listen to us on your favorite podcast platforms. Marketing Demystified, the podcast, is presented to you by GrowGetter, your partner in growth marketing. And here's today.
Hello, everyone. Are you ready to be inspired, informed, and empowered with actionable tips to transform your marketing game? You're in the right place. Welcome to Marketing Demystified. I'm your host, Jenn Mancusi, CEO and co-founder of GrowGetter, your growth marketing partner. I first want to say Happy New Year to all of our listeners out there. Happy 2025. This is our first episode of the new year, and I know it's going to be a great one. Partnerships of all different types matter and can help our businesses grow. One that can easily be overlooked is the role of influencer partnerships, or influencer marketing, more commonly referred to as. It's about leveraging deep industry expertise, technical authority, and trusted voices to drive real business growth. To discuss that topic today, I'm joined by Anton Shulke, head of influencer marketing at Duda and former SEMrush leader. Anton has spent years mastering the art of influencer partnerships. Welcome to the show, Anton.
Hi guys. Happy New Year, and thanks for having me, Jen.
So pleased to have you here today to talk about this topic. You know, I think when people think about influencer marketing, they're often thinking about B2C, celebrity partnerships and, TikTok influencers promoting their maybe CPG products. So we don't usually have a lot of conversations about influencer marketing in B2B. So I think it's really interesting, this other, angle and kind of thinking about how it can work in a different setting.
Yeah, it's completely different animal that influencer marketing I would be talking about. I like what you call it, partnership, influencer partnership or something. We usually use influencer marketing with experts, industry experts, versus creative marketing. Because what you were mentioned before, talking about TikTok or anything as creative marketing. So I won't be talking about that. So I won't be talking about someone who is Instagram doing video for you and selling your product, whatever your product is. So what we'll be talking about, what influencer marketing, what we do is a marketing when you use, it's a bad word to say use, but when you partnership with industry experts.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a really important distinction to make before we start having this conversation, because it's an important one. Like you said, it's very different.
Yeah, if I can, because I came, as you mentioned, I used to work for SEMrush. It's a huge SEO tool, SEO search engine optimization. So I came from that background. So I even have a kind of analogies. When you do PPC, pay-per-click, and when you do SEO, there is a very, very different thing. And those two type of influencer marketing you mentioned, I think one of them is PPC, straight. So you have creator who is happy to create video for you for money. So you pay him or her, and they create video for you, and they show it video. You stop paying them. It's all gone. So it's very quick. Hopefully it's very effective, but it only works whilst you pay, and it's kind of trade. And to say your influencer doesn't really care about your product, to be honest, because he or she just pay to produce those stuff, and it's campaign. When you do influencer marketing with experts, you don't pay them for, because they're not paid for being influencers, they're paid for being experts in their area of expertise. So it's not trade, it's long relationship, and it's like SEO. So it's long to build, but it usually lasts much longer. And compared to, I'm not saying one is better than others. You probably should use both, but I will be only talking about this SEO type of influencer marketing when you build up relationship for long run.
That's such a great analogy, the SEO and PPC comparison. I appreciate that. So, I mean, you talk about it being a relationship and a relationship with the expert that you're partnering with. So, what makes a good influencer relationship and how do you get it started?
It's a very philosophical question. Do you have a plan for next Tuesday? Okay, it's a joke. To be to be practical, I probably would say what I I I always say. I will write on my wall: only work with people who wants to work with you, and I think it's very important. Because I've been doing this since 2015 and try to work with very different type of people and everything. And my experience, it never really works with someone you don't have a chemistry. Put it this, or someone who doesn't really see the value working with you. Yeah, you can bring some people. I've done it many times and never really work well. So if try to give you very short answer to your question. Try to work with people who see the value working with you. This
Yeah,
this would be great partnership with influencer.
for sure. And do you think that that happens on an individual level, or can it also happen on a company level as well? Like, are there just synergistic marketing partnerships that maybe don't have a business partnership necessarily, but still make sense from a marketing perspective? Or are we really talking about individual experts?
Uh, I think it's both because especially when you're working for huge or known companies. So, for example, when I used to work for SEMrush, we have both because we have people who love SEMrush and they were open to work with SEMrush and were very happy to work with SEMrush. But of course, you always have some personal relationship, and you work with some people who you like to work and who likes to work with you. So it should be both. If you're working for a lesser known company, it's probably at least at the beginning, it would be mainly on a personal relationship. At least this way it works for me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, because in the example of SEMrush, where you've got a long list of people who love the tool and are happy to partner and talk about it and promote it even, that's going to be a totally different approach versus if you're launching a new piece of technology and you want to get it in front of people that maybe haven't used it before, like that's a little bit more challenging and does really maybe rely on previous relationships.
Yes, and no, of course. So it's always like that.
Of course.
Obviously, working for big name is much easier. Easy to approach people and easy to say, "Hey, let's do something. Let's do a live stream with you." It's much easier when you don't know someone, and when you represent less known brand, you're probably much more difficult and you more rely on the personal things. But talking about corporations, some corporation talking about influencer marketing, not corporation, enterprise, SEMrush is enterprise actually. So they look at this point and they think sometimes, some of them, they think we should be probably more enterprise thing. So we should be probably less personal and more team wise. Why? It's probably less effective, but it's much more safe for corporation because just imagine you big corporation, sizable corporation, and you have some people working with influencers, and you have one person who works with huge influence, very important, and he or she build a strong personal relationship, and everything fantastic. But this person tomorrow want to leave, so it makes a hole, and corporation is not happy about that. So many companies prefer to have less personal relationship with influencers using teams, using templates, email, and all this to make it less personal. Which means if this person who works with influencer leave tomorrow, nobody care.
Yeah, that is a tricky thing to kind of navigate, because if the person who has a good relationship with an expert leaves, that they could take that relationship with them potentially.
But it's probably not necessarily about influence, right? It's about everything. So, for example, you leave tomorrow, your company will have some problem because you are face of this podcast.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, when thinking about kind of embarking on a partnership or expert or influencer marketing strategy, who would you say are the right people to try to partner with or to target when you're looking for those relationships to build?
The first thing is obviously find who your audience is, because influencers they influence some other people. So you want to find first who you want to influence, and I'll give you an example. Whilst I work at SEMrush is SEO tool, also a little bit of PPC, a little bit of content marketing, but mainly SEO. So it was very clear who our audience is: SEO community, SEO experts, and people who use SEO as well as a second tier, but mainly SEO was very clear. When I moved to 3.5 years ago to Duda, and Duda is CMS, content management system, which is software, and this website builder, which is software you build websites with, similar to WordPress, the biggest one, similar to Wix, for example. So I moved there, and absolutely logically, I thought at that time was who would be my audience. My audience would be web designers. Obviously, we are software for web designers. And I try about 3 months. I wasted, I maybe not wasted. I learned something to get into this community of web designers. But first I found that web designers, they're not like SEO people. SEO people had a thriving community. We know where community. It was on Twitter, or used to be Twitter. Now they're moving, because of all these Twitter things. They're moving to, I think, Blue Sky mainly. So when I joined it, they were all on the Twitter. You can really see who's talking to whom, who was saying, and it was thriving, clear community. We can see who was the biggest influence, who was a smaller influence, and small and small. With web design, it's completely different thing. Actually, web designers, they don't have one community like SEO people. They actually split by platforms. So you can see WordPress community or communities, probably plenty, or Wix community. We also have a Duda community. Duda community, we have a Facebook group, 2,500 people in there. So they split by communities. As a first problem. The second problem is you want influence people, web designers who are WordPress web designers, trying to influence them and to bring Duda is actually useless, absolutely useless. It's a wrong audience, and I'll explain why. Just imagine you are just WordPress for sake of WordPress designer, and you've been using it for last 5, 10, 15 years. You know probably a lot. You can do a lot reasonably quickly and very well. And do you want to learn new trick? Or maybe if there is a motivation. But most of web designers are in-house web design. We're not talking about freelancers yet, but most of web designers, in-house web designers, agency or company web developers, web designers, they on a salary base. And for example, huge difference between Duda and WordPress. If Duda is software for digital agency who do websites for small, medium-sized business. So if you're talking about creating a website reasonably simple, not hugely complicated e-commerce site or something like that, which Duda won't be able to do. But if you're talking about plumber in Paris or something like that, do producing site with Duda would be like 3 to 5 times faster than if you do it on WordPress. But for web design, it doesn't matter. He
Right.
or she is in a salary. So for him, as he or she needs to learn new trick for what? For do more work.
Hmm.
Makes no sense. But for whom it makes a sense? It makes sense for someone who is counting money.
Hmm.
So if it's a smaller agency, probably for founder who is a CEO and maybe many other C level things, he or she count money. And for someone who counts money in agency, yeah, okay, it makes sense. If you can do 3 times, three times more size for the same time with the same amount of people. Okay, you can do 3 times more work, or you can have 3 times less people, and it's high salary. So it's a huge saving. So actually, if you look at that, your audience who you want to influence won't be web designer, web developers, because it would be very difficult, almost impossible, influence them, and you have no motivation for them. But if you try to influence C-level of people who count money, okay, then maybe here you can see interesting things.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, it's I mean, like a lot of marketing strategies or any good marketing strategy, you've got to know who you're targeting, what they care about, so you can speak to them in their
No,
language.
absolutely. It's nothing new, but what I'm
Right.
just trying to show, sometimes it might be not intuitively. Intuitively, you say, yeah, of course, you should go, but sometimes it's not, because you want to influence different people. And answering your original question, so first find your audience. As soon as you find the audience, you can start thinking about who would influence this audience. Because when I was thinking about the wrong audience, web designers, I thought we have to bring kind of famous or known web designers. But as soon as audience went to C-level of digital agency, then you have to bring completely different influencers. So, for example, you have to bring in very successful people who started with a small agency and built it huge empire. For example, they can teach your audience C-level of agency who are definitely want to build bigger agency, get more money and everything. Or you might bring people who knows about money things in an agency. So as soon as you change, you find the real audience, you can think about your real influencer who influence this particular audience.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so, you talked about how you you wasted 3 months, but you learned something during that time. Like, what are you measuring? What metrics are you putting in place to see whether or not the initiatives that you have put in place are working or not? Like, how do you know that, hey, this is not really having the impact that we thought it would?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Usually, very good question. Euphemism. I don't know the answer, which is closer, but not completely. Obviously, when you're talking about when we started and split this influencer marketing creators, with creators, it's very easy because creators usually selling things, and influencer marketing with experts is building a relationship. How do you measure relationship? It's not easy. How do you measure brand? This is a great question. How do you measure brand? Because basically, what influencer marketing do, you try to. It's not only influencer marketing; it's one of the channels, but you're trying to build your brand. How do you measure brand? It's not easy, but it's still there is something you can do. So, for example, social listening. So when you have plenty of tools nowadays, when you scan this all social networks and you see who mentioned your brain, why they mentioned your brain, in what things you mentioned your brain. So it really helps to give you idea. Also, this is difficult to attribute, but you have, as I said, as I came from SEO background and everything, you have something which you call direct traffic. Direct traffic, you also have something which is brand search. As brand search, and when someone put your name, but didn't put .com or .co whatever. So if someone put Duda, meaning not President of Poland Duda, not Duda's doubt in Spanish, but Duda, which is .co, which is CMS, and find it as a brand search. So brand search and direct traffic are basically the same, almost the same thing, because sometimes people, instead of just lazy, instead of saying SEMrush.com, they just put SEMrush. So those things you can. It's difficult to attribute particular, but still, if you see it's dynamically growing, and it's out of all your traffic, your direct traffic and brand search is growing unproportionally, which means your brand is growing. More people knows about your brand. So this is important. Another thing which is close to what I said, social listening. When I joined Duda, Duda never been mentioned in search engine journal, for example. Search engine journal. Search engine journal is very, very important online magazine about search. So Duda never been mentioned. And Duda is old company. Duda is 14 years this year, 14 years. So when I joined Duda, Duda was what, 10 or 11 years old, and never been mentioned in search engine journal. And not because it was nothing to say about Duda, but just nobody really cared. So we changed this. And I think now Duda was 14 or 15 articles about Duda or Duda being mentioned. And this is something I showed to my boss. And this is what I'm doing. See, you never had it. Now we're done. And most of these articles, not all of them, but most of these articles were this or another way connected with influencer marketing.
Okay, yeah, that's really useful, and also interesting to kind of draw that connection with brand metrics. How are you measuring brand? Which is, like you said, it's not easy. It's not impossible, but it's not as easy as conversion rates and clicks and some of those more transactional tactics that we do in marketing. But sort of looking at those lifts and how many more people are paying attention and looking for you and talking about you is really interesting.
Yeah, also Rand Fishkin recently said that classical SEO might be built. Obviously, everyone been saying SEO is dead for many years, but classical SEO, when you try to bring traffic and everything, might be not as effective, and brand is more effective. So maybe investment in your brand is a great investment in SEO. So people know about you, and they don't need to just get in a random traffic and a random search. They know. So if they, for example, if they're looking for CMS and they know, for example, okay, WordPress or Duda. So WordPress maybe doesn't need that much SEO to work. So because of the brand. So investing in brand is a great investment in SEO as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I 100% agree. And as we were talking about right in the beginning, the sort of difference between SEO and PPC, and, you might need a little bit of both, but if you do the SEO and the organic and the brand really well, you don't need to spend as much money on the paid, right? Because you don't have to buy those keywords that you're already ranking organically for.
Well, yes and no, because usually PPC is what PPC experts call money-making machine, because you very rarely just use PPC for brand awareness. Usually you don't. You usually sell something. So
Sure.
if you put $1,000 into PPC and you sell for 1,500, then that's fine. And you can scale it, fantastic, go ahead for that. There's nothing wrong with it, but you still have to do brand awareness and SEO and everything. But PPC usually is much easier to calculate, clear, and the boss understand it very, very well.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. Um, I want to talk a little bit about like some of the tactics and, some of the things that you might do with an influencer partner and specifically around content. Like what content do you think about sharing with an expert or an influencer, or what kind of programs do you put in place to activate them?
When you said content, did you mean content or did you mean format of the content? I'll explain. So, for example, we're doing a live stream today. This is a format, but we're talking about influencer marketing. This is a content.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about both the format, like what different types of maybe programs you might put in place, but also are you providing influencers and experts with content that you want them to share on your behalf? Are you working in collaboration with them to create content? Like, how do you think about that?
Okay, I'll start with a later one. No, we don't, and probably my opinion will not be very popular. Probably they will crucify me for that, but we don't. We usually I usually leave content for influencer. Influencer, he's an expert. I'm not an expert. He's an expert. He knows what he or she, of course, he knows what he can or she can talk about. He or she, they know what is really important in particular. This what is hot, very and what really should be talking about. So we leave content to influence. Of course, saying that is if you have one particular influencer, yeah, well, just leave content and say, okay, buddy, go ahead, do whatever you think you want to do. Yeah, more or less. But of course, if you think in particular what content you want to focus right now, the first thing you should, as a company, you should think what type of content you should think of. Forget about influencer for a little while, and when you decide, okay, I should do this content, this and this, and after that you think which one is a good to work with influencer, which one is less good to work with influencer. So it's probably something like that. So as I said, maybe not very popular opinion that you leave it to influence of what content you do. Talking about format of content, what type of content. So for example, today we are doing a live stream interview. We can do live stream webinars. We can do recorded things and cut it, or we can just use transcript and write a text interview, or we can do just a blog article, or maybe some more other stuff. This is very easy and very intuitive answer. You should know your influencer, who you're working with right now, and you should know what your influencer is capable of and what your influencer is comfortable with. So, for example, there is a huge SEO influencer, SEO journalist. He's not SEO himself, but he's SEO journalist, Barry Schwartz. He works for Search Engine Land, and he's got his own surround table. Most of the information about search probably people getting from him, from that, and we've done many live streams with him, but I've never managed to I never managed to get a presentation from him. So Barry doesn't do presentation. So what should I do? Should I force or try to? Never. You never will be able to do that. But should I try to force Barry to do a presentation, or should I just tweak format to make him very comfortable? Answer is obvious. Of course, I should tweak content. I should tweak format that he fits very well. So with a format, it's easy, but it's the same answer. The same as you coming back to your influencer. So it's not about you. It's about your influencer. But if you need particular content, maybe you should think, okay, I need particular content for what? For this audience. Okay, who out of my influencer can produce something which would be interesting for this audience? Yeah, and you go for it. Also, obviously, everyone wants to do it viral. Of course, we want thousands, not thousands of millions of zillions of people watching your content or reading, of course. And also people think about evergreen content. Yeah, so you write article and forever. You got traffic and you got people, you got sales for thousands of years. It's absolutely fantastic and great. But I would think opportunities are very important as well. Opportunism, you have to use them. I'll give you a very small example. Probably a few months ago, maybe more, maybe half a year ago, SEMrush bought search engine land, which I already mentioned. It's a huge search journal, online journal, one of the two. There are two big ones, and they bought one of them. And search community start discussing: is it good? Is it bad? That SEO tool bought source of information about search, and it was just for a couple of weeks. It was really in a small community, but it was a big thing. So we saw an opportunity at Duda. So I call SEMrush president because I know him very well, and I know him for many years, and I know for sure all mergers and acquisitions, SEMrush is his personal idea, it's his shell. So I talked to Eugene Levin, and he said, "Yeah, okay, I'll give you an interview, no problem." So we interviewed him. It was just like a blog article, and we published this blog article. It's not gonna be evergreen content, and this is just clear opportunism. So we use the opportunity, we saw opportunity, we went for it.
Yeah, that's a great example. I love that story. And I think it's really important what you were saying about, sort of letting the influencer be the expert and create the content, but also adjusting your expectations of the format based on what they do. What does that influencer do? And it requires, just like you were saying, you need to understand your community and who you're trying to influence and what they care about. You have to understand your influencers too, and how to work with them and how they want to work with you.
You also understand your possibilities. So, for example, you're doing a live stream, like we're doing a live stream. We're doing a lot of live streams as well. You're doing a live stream. Some influencers are very open to do live stream, no problems. They're very happy to do on a live camera, everything fantastic. Some of them are not, for example. But if you want to but we don't pay for live stream interview. You don't pay for live. At least I'm not getting paid. Yeah. So this is reasonably cheap, well, free or almost. But for example, if you go and ask influencer, especially huge influencer, to write a big article, which would probably take him 6-8 hours, would be very unusual if he or she will do it for free. Or you have to have, I don't know, incredible relationship, or you have to have the best blog ever in the world. They will give you have to pay for it. So if you have budget, fantastic. If you don't have budget, then just go for some different format.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, I'm curious too about, you mentioned the long-term relationship that you have with the president of SEMrush, as you worked with him in the past, or, there's other influencer relationships or expert relationships that are long-term partnerships, right? Like, how do you foster a long-term partnership with an expert as opposed to maybe like a one-off collaborator? Or is there a need and room for both?
It's the same question we already discussed, like SEO or PPC. I think it should be done both. I just don't have a capacity to do both. So I concentrate on a personal relationship, long-term relationship, and all the opportunity that comes. They comes with people we already know. As I mentioned with SEMrush, we have another example. If you do have a time, I can tell this was with Bing, Microsoft Bing, based on a personal relationship. Okay, it was we were doing a couple of webinars with Microsoft Bing. Fabrice Canel is one of the highest ranking engineer behind Bing, and it was a couple of years ago. And at that time, the Bing was preparing Index Now protocol as a special protocol, which if your sign or your particular page not indexed yet, you can ping Bing, so Bing will index it faster. Okay, funny probably. So at that time it wasn't announced yet. They were preparing it, and we just after the webinar we were talking with Fabrice, and he said we're preparing this, but we don't. It's not public information. If your team wants to integrate, if Duda wants to integrate Index Now protocol, you can work with our team on the NDA, so a non-disclosure agreement, and when we publish it, you can use it. So and I did understand that maybe for our clients, this is not the first priority, being Index Now protocol. Yeah. But I immediately saw the PR possibilities out of this. So we put both teams together. And when Microsoft is a huge thing, obviously. Bing is a less huge thing, but still. So when they announce Index Now protocol, they in every time they mention or write article about this or talking about this, they mention that Duda was absolutely the first CMS who adopted it. So this is opportunity. So I try to grab opportunity when I see one, but those opportunities happen with people we already know, we already work, we already have a relationship. So we do the try now thinking about this creators marketing, go to creator, creates things, everything. But as you mentioned at the very beginning, okay, I split it on creators and industry influencer experts, but it's also overlapping with B2C and B2B almost, maybe not 100%, but almost. So experts are better for B2B, probably. And creators influencers, they're very good for B2C.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I love that Bing example because to me, like what that gets across is that that partnership is really that. It's not one-sided, right? You're looking at ways that you can add value to the partnership and not just take, right? Like, oh, you're an expert and you're just going to be talking about how great Duda is, but actually we can help you and also add value, and that is what's going to create that longer term partnership, where it's not just a one-sided, because people will get tired of that. They don't want to be.
You cannot live on favors. You can ask favor, you can ask two favors, but live on favors is impossible. And I would rephrase what John Fitzgerald Kennedy said: it's not what your country can do for you, it's what you can do for your country. But I'll say it's not what your influencer can do for you, it's what you can do for your influencer. So sometimes we do webinars only to please our influencer, try to amplify his or her message and his or her knowledge, and we think it's very legitimate things to do.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that's how you can maintain a long-term partnership or relationship. And maybe it's influencers or experts, but also customers and, prospects and your network. Just
Your
like
best influencer, your absolute best influencer is your customer, or your customers, your successful customers. So of course, if you're not sure who your influencer should be, go for your customers who really get success using your product. And those would be absolutely best of your influencer, because they already love you.
Yeah, I absolutely, and having a great case study or quote or an interview with someone who's an expert and also loves working with you or using your product, yeah, that's the best partnership you can have.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show today. This has been a great conversation and a great way to kick off the new year on the show. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Was fun. It's already 40 minutes. Incredible. It was very, very, very quick. Thanks, Jen. It was fantastic.
Time flies when you're having fun. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thanks
Thanks.
everyone for tuning in today. We covered a lot of ground on what makes B2B influencer marketing different and how to build partnerships that drive real business value. Connect with Anton on LinkedIn, learn more about his work at Duda. Make sure you visit growgetter.io for more insights on B2B marketing strategy. And don't forget to subscribe to Marketing Demystified wherever you get your podcasts. I'll be back with another episode next week when I chat with Matt Davies